Hi everyone, I am Sanjeev and welcome to my podcast. My friend Wagner has joined me today. We're diving into Francis Fukuyama's popular thesis, which is End of the History, and its relevance in the present days and its challenges. Let's start with no further delay.
Sure, thank you. Let's start with the basics, Sanjay. What exactly is this thesis of Fukuyama? I want to know this first.
Good question. In short, according to Fukuyama's argument in The End of the History and The Last Man speech, liberal democracy represents the highest point of human ideological development. He also says that he's been accused of being kind of Marxist and the end of the history was a Marxist concept, but he doesn't think so.
Oh, is it? That's quite brave accuse. Did he make any connection to modernization and societal evolution?
Fukuyama relates his argument on modernization, radical Islam, poverty, technology, which he sees as a universal process supported by development in politics and economy in the evolution of the society. He said, Samuel Huntington, who wrote a book a few years ago, The End of the History, called The Clash of Civilization, and he made a very different kind of argument. He said that evolution of human societies in the direction of liberal democracy was kind of an accident.
Interesting. Do you think his arguments are still relevant today, though? He wrote that book, and much has changed since then, right?
Yeah, of course, without a doubt. Even Fukuyama acknowledges that radical Islamist ideologies and global power inequalities are challenges to liberal democracy. He does not, however, believe that these represent existential dangers. The argument he makes is supported by the fact that liberal democracies continue to exist in modernizing societies. However, he acknowledges inequality and globalization draw attention to areas that require reform, but cannot be guaranteed. There is a reference he took from Bob's Wright book about the human evolution and adaptation of the society, which I find really interesting.
So, do you mean he defends the idea despite criticism?
According to him, his speech, he is careful about it. He thinks that overall tendency towards modernization still goes toward liberal democracy, although acknowledging obstacles like historical and cultural inequalities, authoritarian modernization, and continuing global inequality. He does say that it's a difficult road rather than a simple one.
Speaking of challenges, what ideologies have tried to attack liberal democracy?
Actually, many of them, but I will only cover the main ones. The first is authoritarian modernization, of which China is a shining example. Russia's small democracy and China's extreme authoritarianism are examples of authoritarian regimes that are modernizing. He suggests contrasting their 20 years stability and success with that of democratic governments because feedback-based government develops slowly in liberal democracy and also doesn't have central control like China and Russia.
Alright, people pay attention to China's example. What else?
Cultural particularism is another one. The ideology, which was made popular by Samuel Huntington, argues that political system has their root in particular cultural environments. Societies rooted on Islam, for example, may create patterns that differ from liberal democracy.
It's fascinating. What about radical beliefs such as Islamism?
Definitely. He says Western modernity and liberal democracy are openly rejected by radical Islamist ideology because it is rooted in Muslim society and often sees as rejecting modernization and liberal democracy and are not successful model of development. Apart from exceptions like Iran, these groups have not get significant power or global appeal beyond culturally Muslim societies.
Technology appears to be a significant factor in this case as well, right?
That's right. According to him, for example, he would build one end of the machine which used scientific and technological advancement as the driver and connect it to economic development via a drive shaft. This is because economic development depends on the range of technological possibilities that are given level of technological development makes possible.
Oh wow, what a complicated subject. Oops. Seems like we are out of time. I appreciate your breaking down. Let's go further some other day.
Wagner, it's my pleasure. Please share your opinions with us as listeners about whether liberal democracy is the end of the history. Till next time.